ladies, if you want to know the power of transitioning from casual to committed in just 8 weeks, and why I heavily push the 8-week concept for those who do not know, the new members here. I always say 6 to 8 dates, 6 to 8 weeks, meaning you're only dating this guy for 2 months. And then you're transitioning into a relationship. Anything after that's borrowed time. He's probably not going to commit. Don't waste your time. Give him the ultimatum. If he says no, you're taking a hike, okay? So I'm going to really emphasize and push certain concepts and I guess categories, like what to do the first couple weeks, then what this week's important for, and then when to give the ultimatum and things like that. So if you want to know how to pace this entire thing and maximize your chances to get a guy to like you and what to do correctly, this video is for you. So I guess we can start off by jumping into the beginning. What are the 6 to 8 weeks or 6 to 8 dates? I used to really push the dating concept, like, hey, after 8 dates, you gotta bring up the ultimatum. The problem with that is a lot of women would go on fucking 5 dates in 1 week, 2 weeks, and then they're 3 weeks in, and they'll try to give an ultimatum, and the guy's like, no, we only been talking for 3 weeks, which I agree, that's way too early. You have to pace it out, ladies. So in this video, here's, I guess, the new guideline. I want you to go on 12 dates at most in 8 weeks. Whatever one comes first, then you give the ultimatum, okay? So with that being said, the first 2 weeks I call the filter weeks, okay? And there's many different ways you can filter a guy. We're going to go over a couple of them here, but if you want more details, such as the questions to ask, the things to look for, the signs, all that kind of stuff, then make sure to get this guide. I'm going to put right up on the screen right now. You can get it part of my box set right here, and it will help you, okay? So the first thing I tell women to do is I have a 4-step process when it comes to framing that you're looking for a relationship. I tell women from the get-go, he needs to know from the beginning that you're looking for a relationship. And if you understand my concept of intent versus premise, meaning you're not saying I want a relationship with you, you're saying I'm looking for a relationship, I'm looking for a guy to to fill that role. Doesn't necessarily mean you, though. He needs to know that from the beginning, okay? And the reason he needs to know this is because of what I call framing the narrative. And what that means is when you two are talking, you don't ever want to see where it goes. Let's see what happens. You don't ever want to do that. I talk about framing like power dynamics. You are already at a disadvantage when you are think of it like this. It's subconscious and it's little, but it matters. You are by saying that and agreeing to it, you are agreeing to, okay, I know this might not happen, but I'm going to do it anyway just in case that, we work out. By you saying, oh, let's see where it goes, or him saying that, and you're like, yeah, let's do that, he's not obligated to give you anything. You guys aren't working towards anything. It's just two people hanging out, having fun, hooking up. And when it feels the same on this 5th date, when it feels the same on the 6th, the 7th date than it did the 1st or 2nd date, this is why. It's because you're moving linearly instead of exponentially. You can't. If you want casual, you're going to be treated casual. And this is the first step. This is how it happens. It's when women say, well, let's see where it goes. Yeah, let's see what happens. Or when a guy says, oh, yeah, I'm not looking for a relationship, but the right woman comes along, sure. And then you get hope. Like, your time is valuable. You cannot put it up and say, okay, well, yeah, let me put some money in the slot, your time. Let me put some of this in the slots to just whatever, to see what happens. No. Everything you guys are doing, everything you guys are saying, the conversations, the consistency, the initiating, the cuddles, all that should be progressing towards a relationship. Therefore, in your profile, step 1 here, in your profile, you need to say, I'm looking for something serious. Then once you guys are talking to each other on the app or text messaging each other, you need to ask him what he's looking for. And women always get on me and say, that's too much, Elliot, that's too much. No, it's not. Two reasons why. Number one, he probably didn't even read your damn profile, right? Number one. Number two, don't think of it as it scares men away. Think of it as it filters men. When a man thinks you're attractive and a man wants a relationship, he's good, and you say, hey, I want one too. You both agree that you're on the same frame, the same mindset, and that everything you guys do from this point on is progressing towards a relationship. So think of it like this. If you're talking to a guy and you guys don't have this talk, you just see where it goes. You don't even have to say, let's see where it goes. You guys are just doing whatever, don't have any type of talk. I know you women feel this. Later on down the road, he starts to act different. He starts to pull away. He starts to slow down. The good morning texts are gone. His texting patterns are different. He's busy all of a sudden. Well, what happened? It's because you were talking to a guy where there was a blank canvas. No one said anything about relationships or anything ever, okay? Yet, context is created in two ways. You can either mention it, which I'm telling you, hey, I'm looking for a relationship. Okay, me too, cool, awesome. And you guys are on the same page, or you don't say anything at all, and your actions and whatever it is, all the context builds up, it layers up, and it starts to feel like a relationship and you guys don't even have the talk. And now he feels this pressure that if I keep going along with everything and telling her I'm on the same page, if I go along with everything, it tells her I'm on the same page as her when I'm not. I'm in my head now, I'm freaking out, I'm gonna pull away. That's what happens. By you having the conversation in the beginning that you're looking for a relationship, and he says, oh, great, me too, okay, that kind of eliminates that, okay? So that's the first two things. You have to put it on your profile, then you have to say it when you're texting each other. The third thing I always tell women, another good way to filter someone is consistency over time. This is something you want to see through dates 1 to 7. Okay, or weeks 1 through 7. You want to see all of this? However, you want to see him invest time, energy, effort, money consistently over time. Okay, you want to see that. So that's my third thing, and then the fourth one I have written over here is questions you're asking the guy. So like very subtle questions that I think say a lot about where he stands. And again, if you want more of these, it's in my guide, links down below. However, I'll just give you an example. The first one is, what are you looking for? Okay. Another one would be something like, where do you see yourself in 3 years? If a guy is dating, listen, this is logic. If a guy is dating you, okay, not just you, just he's out there dating, and he says, oh man, I don't know, I want to travel the world, and I kind of want to get a dog and maybe buy a house and move up in my career. And he says nothing about a relationship. You know right there that he does not make it a priority. How do I know this? Because you are talking to a guy who is actively dating. He is on a dating app. Okay, dating takes a lot of time and energy and resources. I hear from you all the time, dating's tiring. Yes, it is if you're looking for a relationship. But if this guy is out talking to a bunch of girls, texting you, taking you on dates, fucking you, or screwing you, should be cussing, screwing you and all that kind of stuff, and then you ask him that question, he says, well, I don't really know. I kind of want a dog. I want a dog, and I want to travel, and I want to move up in my career. And he says nothing about a relationship. You're talking to a dude who does not see long, or is not looking for a relationship. Okay, he's not looking for a relationship. That's just plain and simple. The fourth thing, and again, I have more questions in the guide. The fourth thing, and again, if you want more of this, the red flags. There's red flags. There's like 4 red flags I tell women that are very, very, very accurate. And you need to figure these out. How long has he been single? Because if he's been single for a while, like 3 years plus, I'll say 3 years plus, you're not going to change that. You're not the girl who's going to come in his life and change that. Everyone thinks they're the exception to the rule. It's very, very hard to break habit, to break like patterns. So if he's been single for a long time and he's had little relationships here and there, you're a little relationship. You're not going to be the one to change it statistically. Okay, number one. Number two, was he cheated on in his last relationship? While that's not always his fault, it's the unfortunate truth that he takes the pain along with him, and that usually has to do with a stone cold, got hair in my face, stone cold heart. The heart is just, it has a wall up, and he's not gonna, and he's emotionally unavailable too. He's not gonna bring it down for you. Another thing is he's newly single. So if you're talking to a guy who is newly single, you're probably not, or newly divorced, anything like that, you're probably not going to get a relationship out of that. That would be very rare. That just doesn't happen. He's newly single. And especially, I have women who are like, I'm the first person he started talking to online. I'm the first date he went to after his divorce. Well, you're fucked. You're screwed then. You're screwed. Are you serious? Like, that's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. I'm not saying don't try it, but just be wary of it. But these are all things that women can do to filter out a guy in the beginning. So let's say you filter a guy and, you're doing that for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Things seem decent. Okay, now we're at week 3 through week, I'd say, no. Let me back up. I want to talk about the importance of getting to the third date. And I'm going to contradict myself in my last video and in a lot of things I teach, but I don't really care who asks who out in the beginning. As long as you know he's looking for a relationship and he's making at least 50% of the effort, I don't care who asks who out. Just get the dates. And the reason I say this is a lot of women will come to me and say, Elliot, he just says, hey. He just says, hey, what's up on the dating app. Does that even, no, that's not a response. That's not a good enough response. And I'm like, who are you? He doesn't owe you shit. You're nothing fucking special. You're one of many. You're not a fucking 10. You're not a 9. You're not an 8. Who are you? And I know that sounds harsh, but what I'm trying to get at is the attraction isn't there. Okay, the attraction isn't there. Attraction is momentum based. You have to get something going, date 2, date 3, and then you're going to start seeing a guy's effort pick up. So when you get to the third date, and on the third date, he's very social, he's very outgoing, he's very open, and he's very entertained and engaged in the conversation. These are all good signs. Like I said, attraction should not be linear. It should be exponential. You don't want to just go date 1, date 2, date 3. You want to see it grow over time. And the first couple dates, especially if you're texting for weeks and you've only been on a couple dates, the texting might be sporadic. You don't see a big change until date 3 or 4, because now now you can say, okay, there's consistency now. There's 4 dates in. There's some type of investment. There's something to lose. He's attracted to me. He knows what it's like with me. The nervousness and butterflies from the first couple dates are gone. He knows I'm interested because we had a little flirty sexual band. There's just so much more context there. So it's really, really important to get to the 3rd, maybe 4th date with the guy before you start seeing the importance or the true picture idea of whatever this is. So what I'm trying to get at is I don't really care who asks who out. Just make it happen. Unless you're the one always asking him out, then that's a problem. But just get to the 3rd date. Then this is something you can start running with. You're like, okay, I'm liking this. The next thing is dates 3 to 6, 3 to 7. Your job, the way I tell women to look at it is, you have this gap right here, okay? You have a small gap of 8 weeks to convince this guy to go from casual to committed. And your job in doing that is, or I guess the best way of doing that is to have a guy who's also on the same page as you, a guy who's emotionally available, and you're just doing your part in maximizing that attraction, building that rapport, showing him, hey, I'm girlfriend material. That's what you want to do from day. And again, I have a book on that, rapport, right here, right? I'm going to put right there a book on it on how to maximize this rapport. And consistency is the way to do it. I'm a big fan of laughter, joking, humor. Women who are very, very good, you will always succeed with men if you're very quick-witted. You're very funny. You're not funny and like trying to be funny like a guy, funny like cracking jokes. You're just snappy with your words. You're very, again, quick-witted. I don't know how else to explain it. You just have really good banter, really good back and forth. You know how to keep a conversation going, but not only going, you know how to, and I talk about it in the guide how to do this, but like you go in depth on things. That's how you stick out. Women always ask me, how do I stick out? And women, and a good way to start, I guess, is looks. Like, yeah, but looks are also subjective, and every girl he's talking to is cute. Like, women focus so much on like chemistry and looking attractive. Again, it's important, but that's a qualifier. Like, that's a prerequisite. Every woman he's going on several dates with is cute, and he has some type of chemistry with. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the 3, 4, 5, 6 dates with her. Okay? So you got to do more. And I tell women, you have to dive deep on conversations. You have to have those conversations that make, this is going to sound stupid, but it feels personal. Not personal like you're digging deep into finding his like skeletons in the closet, but it's not a conversation he's having with just anyone. If you and I are saying things like, "Hey, good," like women come to me all the time. Oh, Elliot, he says good morning. Do you think he sends that to mass amounts of women? Do you think he copy pastes that and says it to 10 other ones? Yeah, probably. And you probably get that feeling because there's no substance to it. It's all about substance is what I'm getting at. Date 3 to date 7, or I guess 1 to 7, you got to build substance, and that's focused on depth. You have to dig deep on topics and conversations that you guys are having, and doing this while having this flirty banter. I tell women all the time, you have to make sure, people forget this, you have to make sure the interaction is an interaction between a man and a woman, meaning there does have to be sexual tension, there does have to be flirty banter, there does have to be a lot of teasing and quick wit and not afraid to disagree with someone. It has to be a lot of that. But what people do instead is, a guy might come to you date 7 or week 7, and he's like, or 6, and he starts, oh man, work's so stressful. Man, I'm so depressed, or whatever it is. And then you start playing therapist. I'm not saying don't be there for the guy, but instead of having it be a shoulder to cry on, instead be like, hey, you know what? Let's go have a drink. You'll feel, maybe we should get a depressed guy to drink, but you know what I'm saying, stress. Hey, let's go out and get a drink. You have to flip it, and you have to turn it to a man-woman interaction again. As soon as you start playing therapist, it's not man-woman anymore. It's man-therapist, and it's not sexy to a man. A man might like getting it off his chest, but it's not a part of attraction. It's not. At least in the beginning, when you're in a relationship, yes, you want that woman by your side. You want that ride or die chick. You want that woman you could talk to. But when you're trying to maximize attraction and you have a gap to do so, I'd rather you guys go on a date and you be flirty, and then you talk about it, but then you try to transition to something a little more upbeat, so that he can associate you with that good feeling, that upbeat type of energy. You don't want him to fucking be drinking and talking about stress, and then he's hanging out with you, and then it's like, okay, it's getting late, let's go home, I gotta go back to work tomorrow. And then he goes back home fucking upset, and then continues that cycle by going back to work the next morning. You don't want to be that cycle. You want to be the wrench. You're the wrench that thrown into that cycle that messes it all up. And he's like, okay, yeah, she's my escape. I actually like hanging out with her. She makes me feel effing good. Women don't do that. Okay, that's the stuff you kind of have to do dates 1 to 7. You have to build rapport. And like I said, it's focused on depth. It's focused on having very personal, and personal doesn't mean skeletons in the closet again. Personal means just like in-depth unique conversations that he's not having with everybody else. Okay, and lastly, because we're already 20 minutes in here again, god dang. Lastly is the ultimatum. Ladies, you have to give the ultimatum at 8 dates, right? Or 8 weeks. You have to give the ultimatum. Why? Because if he hasn't gave it to you at 8 weeks or 12 dates in, you're not getting it. And if you think, I'd have clients who are waiting it out and saying, well, let me give it another month. Let me give it another 2 months. Never works out. There's a reason he's not taking you off the market. It's because he's unsure about you, or he's unsure about a relationship, and he doesn't want to cut you off completely because there's still assets to be, to be obtained, sex, for example, or the validation you give him. So he'd rather keep you around and reap those benefits instead of actually transitioning to a relationship and or cutting you off. If he's unsure about a relationship, he's not going to transition into a relationship. If he likes you, right, he's not going to cut you off. So he's going to keep you right here, right in the middle where it benefits him, but obviously it drains you. So you don't want to do that. Ladies, with all that being said, if you want to get these guides and you want more information on this topic, check out my box set. Link is down in the description. Ladies, I love you all. Take care and peace.